Hey everybody, I'm Grace and I'm one of the textile mentors here at the Forge, and we are putting together this loom for everybody to have access to in the textiles department. We are just showing you the bare bones today though. So I am only showing you what is called plain weave, which is a basic weave over, under, and that's generally how people get started. If you are interested in learning more about how to set up your loom and how to weave patterns and doing things like that, you definitely will want to schedule a time with me. So if you have questions, feel free to reach out to me on Slack. First, the packing material that I brought for us to use is toilet paper. This is single ply. Please do not take this to the restroom. This is really truly meant to be with the loom. So I have put some of this packing material into this to even out my warp threads. So the warp are the strings that are going to go this way. When we put yarn in sideways, this is called the weft. So in order to even out my warp threads, I have packed this in. So if you are going to weave a piece for yourself or for someone else, I ask that you put packing material in between your pieces. So whenever you start or stop, put in some packing. And all you have to do is use a plain weave. Okay, so I'm gonna put one pick in so you see what I'm talking about. These right here are unattached. These are your floating selvages. I go over them in my odd and under them in my evens. So here, I'm going to pull this beater bar back, okay? Before I release the beater bar, I'm gonna change my shed. So I was on odds, now I'm going to evens. 3 can stick sometimes, just bear with it. If you need to shake it to make it go down, you can. You're not gonna hurt this loom. Now, this is going to help you with a clean selvage and a clean shed, okay? I'm gonna put one more pick in, and then we'll be done with the toilet paper. I was over on this side. Now I'm going to be under my floating selvages, and I'm going to grasp, and I'm going to make this frowny face here because it's going to give me room to change. We go back to odds. All right, this is plain weave. And the way that I have set up this loom, you're going to have some floats and repeats here. This is just the pattern of the weave that we've got. You haven't done anything wrong by this, okay? So the next thing that you're gonna have to do is load a shuttle. This is your shuttle, and this is your bobbin. So I have put loaded bobbins in the bench of next to the loom. So what you're going to do, you always want to load this shuttle by lifting the bar, sliding your bobbin on. This needs to roll under. Just like it's important to know how your bobbin is loaded in a sewing machine, it's also important for your shuttle. We're going to slip the yarn through the hole that is to the side of the shuttle, and then we're going to close it. Now we have this all wound up and ready to go. Okay, the hole where the yarn comes out should always face you, the weaver, okay? Don't let it go this way because it'll mess up your tension. So when you are controlling the bobbin spin, you're controlling the tension on your piece. So when you're ready, slip that into the shed, and you're gonna place it, and we're gonna change our pick. So we're changing our shed, and I'm sticking to a very plain weave. You have this extra tail here, okay? We just want to secure it into the weaving, so I'm gonna take it and then I'm gonna push it to the underside. I'm gonna beat that, and it's managed. Now, I'm gonna be under my floating selvage, and I'm gonna pull this out, but you see I still leave a little bit of space. So now I'm going to beat, change my shed back to odd.
So on like a bigger loom, would this be your foot treadles that you would use?
Yes.
And since this is a miniature loom, you have like a hand.
Yes, so
change.
Technically this is a table loom. They designed table looms to be more accessible to people. So they invented them with a lever system using all hand, so that people who were missing legs or couldn't use their legs could still use the hands. And this is a table loom that has been put on a frame so that if I need to take it off and put it on a table, I could if I wanted. When you notice that your shed is not giving you good enough clearance to get your shuttle through, you need to advance your warp, okay? So I'm gonna take you through that process. I'm going to put my shuttle on top of the loom for safety, okay? I'm going to release the tension here. This is your cloth bar, okay? The threads have been woven into cloth, and when it wraps around this bar, it is cloth. So this is the cloth bar. I'm gonna release a little bit, okay? So now we've got less tension here. And all we're trying to do is take some slack off, okay? Now, on this end, I'm gonna release this brake, okay? It's the same system, and I'm going to release just enough to then come back here and use my crank.
Oh yeah, that's a pleasurable sound.
I know, isn't it? And the tension here is all about getting it where I can beat you. This is the sweet spot, okay? You don't want this bar to interact with this breast beam, okay? This is how much space that you need. Now look how much clearance you have to get that shuttle through. So when you need to advance the warp, that's all you have to do. And as it continues to wrap onto the cloth beam, we're gonna finish up the warp. So as soon as the warp is all done, I'll set it up with another pattern. So let me do 2 picks like this with this peachy pink. Look at her watches.
Wow. Good girl for 1 second.
I know. Okay. So I'm gonna switch shuttles here really quickly. I'm gonna change to a bright purple. And remember, I said the yarn has to go down and under to go through this little slot. Just like that. And then he goes down. Slot is always facing me.
Okay.
And I'm gonna do the reverse of what I did before when I started. And I'm going to pull this tail right under there and then settle it right there. Now, I'm gonna also show you how to work with 2 yarns at the same time. So I'm gonna get started with this one, okay? So this is gonna go over, I'm gonna get started over here, and I'm going to change sheds. We're back on odd, and I'm going to push this tail under, just like that. Now, I'm going to work 2 shuttles at the same time. So, this is a stick shuttle, by the way. The stick shuttle is great for yarns that are bulkier and you need more length to it than this can provide you. So the stick shuttle is definitely good for that. So I'm gonna get started. And now I have 2 shuttles that are going in opposite directions of each other, okay? So I have a tail on both ends. And I'm gonna manage this tail before I switch. Okay, so there we go. And now I'm going to change sheds. So this is what I'm going to find is happening here with these two shuttles. I am doing all evens in this dark purple, and I'm going to be in all odds with this fun little boucle. And that's going to make a whole different pattern. And when you have these two interacting with each other, you can cross them or not. They're always going to be in opposition with each other. I'm changing, and I'm gonna do one more pick with each one. I'm checking to make sure that I'm in the correct shed, and to do that, I put my hand in here. If I cannot touch the last yarn that came before, I'm in the proper pick to do another pick. If I can touch the yarn, then I need to change my shed. That's why I do that. So now I'm going to, here's my floating selvage. Oops.
She's a chance, Annie.
I know, right? Oops, but it looks like I have made a mistake here. So all I have to do is put it right back through, okay? It's nothing complicated. And there it goes.
Magic.
Magic. Now I'm gonna switch and go to this guy because this is what was supposed to happen. There you go. And I'm gonna give you one more of the skinny purple. So even though I have this pattern that, for all intents and purposes, seems a little boring, I'm mixing it up with different colors to get a different pattern out of it, just simply by using the yarn. And I would encourage anybody, here we go, last one. So what I can do now is clip it and call this done. And now all I have are these two ends, okay?
So what kind of fibers can people use to weave on this machine?
So any kind of yarn. You can even cut fabric strips, okay? You essentially want to go with yarns that are going to pop out from this white. So, and it's kind of a gray natural white. This is an alpaca yarn, and when it is cleaned off, it's going to be bright white. So it's going to be closer to this white than it is to that gray. If this is the end of my piece, so let's say I wanted a nice little, I don't know, bookmark. If this is the end, I would take a few picks of toilet paper to separate it. So I would ask if you find a post-it note or some kind of tag to let me know whose it is, so I can let you know when it's finished and ready for you to pick up.
So basically when we use up the warp,
yeah,
you're going to take it off and then dole out whoever wants their pieces. So just make sure to label your piece.
Yes.
Okay, great.
So, and let me show you one other thing, and this is about the bench. So I am putting all of these supplies in the storage bench. And there is other yarn in the Forge textile department. You are welcome to use any yarn that you so choose. Even if you have some supplies at home that you want to try out, if there are other yarns that you want to put on this loom, you are more than welcome to. So,
but yeah, everything that is in there is to be used.
It is for anybody and everybody who wants to try it out. So
except Annie, it's not.
Except for Annie, it's off limits. Annie. Annie has not watched the video yet, so she's not allowed. So I have lots of bobbins in here. If you use up a bobbin and you want to use some of your own yarn on these bobbins, just send me a message and I will get a bobbin winder here for you, or use the sticks. So all you have to do is wind onto the sticks and use it. So there you go. Happy weaving.